Hello guys, I'm back again. Yeah, I'm making many videos the same day because I want to rest just a bit, please. Okay, this is not the end, the first part of the end of chapter 22, but if you have the old edition of the book, this is actually another chapter, which is chapter 24. Okay, and the beginning of the multiplier model, in the beginning we're going to see first the C plus I approach and then the S and I approach. And we have this beautiful table and I'm going to explain everything to you. I love this part and the next part also. You're going to understand why. You know me by now. Okay, so let's start. I need all the pens I can get. So remember, we studied the consumption function, we studied the BEP already. So now we're going to assume that levels of GDP and DI are the same for now. Okay, so your BEP, your consumption function depends on your GDP. So here is my consumption function. My BEP would be the intersection between the C function and the 45 degrees line, where C is equal to GDP. Okay, remember that? Okay, now we're going to add investment, but before that we're going to make some assumptions. We assume that investment is an exogenous variable. That means it comes from outside the economic system. Okay, so that we're not going to relate it to GDP. And we're going to assume that it's constant at the time, okay? So it's a constant. So you spend on consumption and investment. It's a closed economy, and we're not taking into consideration government purchases and no taxes, no nothing for now, okay? So we only have consumption and investment. So if you spend on consumption and investment being a constant, so your total expenditure, which is C plus I, is going to be your C function plus, I'm sorry, I need to use the black, plus the constant I. You see it here? It's a constant, it's the same number, so it's going to give you a parallel line, okay? So when your C plus I is equal to GDP, remember this is GDP is equal to TE, total expenditure. That's this line, the 45 degrees line. So when you have the intersection between them, you have C plus I is equal to GDP. That is your equilibrium, okay? Equilibrium point. If you don't have any investment, your equilibrium point is the BEP. But if you add an investment, so you're going to move the whole line parallel. You're going to create a new line that is parallel to your consumption function, and the difference between them is going to be I. Okay? Let's do it using the table so that you understand it better. Let's see here. I have my levels of GDP and my levels of consumption. Okay? This is table 22.2 in the book, but I'm going to modify it. I'm going to add more columns, okay? So here I calculated my savings. So here I have 4,200 minus 3,800 gave me 400. 3,900 minus 3,600 gave me 300, and so on. Look here, I have the GDP is 2,700 and 2,800 in the consumption, so I'm this saving 200. My break-even point is when my GDP is equal to my consumption and my saving is equal to 0. That's my equilibrium is my break-even point. Now let's assume that an exogenous variable came, that is the investment of 200. Now I need to calculate my total expenditure, how much I spend in total. So I'm going to spend on consumption and on investment. So I'm going to calculate the total of the two. So my investment is 200, so I'm going to take my consumption plus the 200. So here it's going to be 4,000. I take the consumption plus the 200. So here it's 3,800. My consumption plus 200, 3,600, 3,400. I'm just adding 200 to the consumption. 3,200 and then 3,000. Okay? So now I'm looking for the equilibrium where I'm spending exactly the amounts I'm producing, where it's an equilibrium. Let's see where it is. So which color am I going to use? I'm going to use black. Look here. Here I have 4,200, 4,000. It's not an equilibrium. I'm producing a lot more than I'm spending. So not an equilibrium. Here, same thing. Here, I'm producing exactly the same amount as I'm spending. So I have an equilibrium, okay? So this is my equilibrium when I is equal to 200, okay? That's the equilibrium point. So let's see what happens. Imagine I'm at a point above the equilibrium, just like here, okay? So I'm here in my spending. My consumption is here and my GDP is here. I'm sorry. Let's imagine I'm at this point, okay? So look at it as the supply and the demand. So I'm willing to supply this much, but the total spending of my economy is only this much. So is the economy going to continue producing while it's not selling all the production? Of course not. What's going to happen is that the GDP is going to start, the production is going to start to decrease. Okay? I'm decreasing till I reach the equilibrium where I'm producing exactly as much as I'm selling. Okay? Now, let's imagine I'm on a point below the equilibrium. Here. So, in total, I produce this much. Okay? But my demand is here. People, the whole economy is willing to spend C plus I, which is here. So demand is bigger than the supply, so what's going to happen? The suppliers are going to produce more to reach the equilibrium, okay? So whether you're above the equilibrium or you're below the equilibrium, there is an adjustment mechanism that's going to make you reach the equilibrium, okay? So here I'm above the equilibrium, so the equilibrium is going to start, the GDP is going to start decreasing till we reach the equilibrium point. Here I'm below the equilibrium, so the equilibrium is going to start increasing till we reach the equilibrium. Not the equilibrium, the GDP is going to start increasing till we reach the equilibrium. Agreed? Now let's move to do another one. Let's imagine that exogenous variable that is investment 200 actually increased to another level. So now I'm going to put it in black. C plus I at another level. C plus I at the level I is equal to 400. So what am I going to do? You tell me. Think. I'm simply going to take my consumption at the investment of 400 and look at what's happening and look for the equality. Okay? So 800 plus 400, that would be 4,200. already found the equality. Anyway, I need to do them for all. Okay, 3, 8, 3, 4, 3. Do I have a mistake in here? Okay, plus 4, plus 4, plus 4, that's 3, 6. Okay, that's 3, 2. 3, 4. What am I doing? 3, 4, and then 3, 2. Okay, now it's correct. I'm so sorry. Okay, so where is my equilibrium? I'm going to look at it from here because I know it's the first one. So here, no equilibrium, no equilibrium, no equilibrium. It's no longer this one, not this one. It's the first one. So here is my equilibrium. It's when I have the equality between C and I. So equilibrium with the investment is equal to 400. Now you're going to do me a favor. I'd like you to do it before I correct, which is what if I have investment is equal to 300, then investment is equal to 100. Could you do that for me? Do it for me, please. Yeah? Don't look at what I'm doing. And then you check the result. Okay. Don't look. Oops, what's in here? Are you done? Yes, you're done? Okay. What's the equilibrium? What's the equilibrium, guys? I don't know. I'm going to check it. So, do I have it? Here, 3,900, 3,900. That is my equilibrium. Okay? So equilibrium when my investment is equal to 300. Okay? Now I'm going to do 100. Okay, guys? You do it on your own and let's see. I hope you don't see what I'm doing. So... Are you done? I don't know if I have an equilibrium myself. Yes, I do. Here it is. No, no. Yes. 3,300, 3,300, and that would be my equilibrium. Equilibrium with investment 100. Okay? I'm doing all this because later on I'm going to use the multiplier and I should find exactly the same results. Okay? Now let's move to the other approach. Agreed? So the other approach is with the S and I. Okay? So if my equilibrium is that GDP is equal to C plus I. Let me do it mathematically so that you see it. GDP is equal to C plus I. I'm going to move this one over here. So GDP minus C is equal to I. Okay? And what's GDP minus C? It's your saving should be equal to your investment. That's where you find the equilibrium. The same equilibrium, because these are mirror images, okay? So I have my saving line, okay? The BEP is reached when I don't save at all because I consume everything, so saving is equal to 0. And then I'm gonna plot my investment line, which is a constant, so it's gonna stay this way. And once I have the investment line is equal to the saving line, so saving is equal to investment, that's my equilibrium GDP, okay? Here I don't really need to calculate, I'm just gonna check. I have to calculate my saving first, I did it, so now I'm gonna determine my equilibrium GDP. So I'm gonna start with investment 200. I'm gonna come to my saving and look for 200. Here it is. So 200 is here, and if you check the numbers, yeah, the other approach, 3,600, 3,600. So your equilibrium GDP is at 3,600. That's what you would find in here, okay? Moving on to 400, okay? I'm gonna come here, here is 400. What color was that one? At 400, my equilibrium GDP is 4,200. And that's what we found in the other approach. 300, so I come here, here is 300 in investments and saving, so my equilibrium is 3,900. Okay, the last one is 100. 100 is here, so my equilibrium GDP is 3,300. You get it? So that's the C plus I approach. You try to find total expenditure is equal to your GDP. In the S and I approach, you try to find investment is equal to saving. You get it? If I don't invest, my equilibrium is my BEP. Okay, guys? Done? Let me check the time. "17 minutes. Oh, I still have some time. So I'm going to erase all this. I'm going to keep these and try to do it mathematically. Can I take a screenshot? And I'm moving on. This is not in the book, so you have to do it. Yeah? So I'm going to keep this part because I'm going to need it. And now I'm going to try to find my consumption function, this consumption function, and I'm going to do it mathematically instead of doing it with the table. Okay? So first I'm going to use the C plus I approach, and then I'm going to use the S and I approach. So first I need to determine my C. C function, remember, is equal to MPC times, now it's GDP, no longer DI, okay, GDP plus B. So first thing I'm going to do is determine my MPC. So MPC is equal to delta C over delta GDP now. Okay, let's calculate it. So here I'm going to take 3,800 minus 3,600. 3,600 over 4,200 minus 3,900. 3,900, which is equal 200 over, here it's 200, over 300, which is 2 over 3. You got that? Okay. Once I found this, I'm going to move to find my B. So C right now is equal to 2, C is equal to 2 over 3 GDP plus B. So what I'm going to do is take a point and find my constant B. So which point am I going to take? So I'm going to take 3,800. So 3,800 is equal to 2 over 3 times 4,200 plus B. Calculator, please. Here it is. So 4,200 divided by 3. Where are you, little calculator? Here. Okay, 4,200 divided by 3 multiplied by 2 is equal to 2,800. Sorry, guys. That's 2,800 is equal to 3,800 plus B. So my B is equal to 1,000. Okay. 3,800 minus 2,800 is equal to B. So B is equal to 1,000. Agreed? Yeah, I think I use the calculator, so. Now let's rewrite my C function. Take a screenshot because I need my board. So 1,002 over 3. So my C function is here. 2 over 3 and 1,000. Now, I'm going to try to find the equilibrium when investment, is equal to 200. We're going to start with the first one. So, C plus I is going to be equal to 2 over 3 GDP plus 1,000 plus I. I simply added the I. So C plus I is equal to 2 over 3 GDP. This is at equilibrium, okay? Plus 1,200. Clear? Now C plus I should be equal to GDP at equilibrium. Okay? So I'm going to replace this by GDP. So GDP at E is equal to 2 over 3 GDP at E plus 1,200. Okay? Let's do it. So GDP at E minus 2 over 3 GDP at E is equal to 1,200. You know how to calculate this. So 1 over 3 GDP at E is equal to 1,200. So GDP at E is equal to 1,200 times 3. So GDP at E is equal to 3,600. Oops. And you see that it's the same equilibrium here. 3,600, 3,600. Okay? Now take a screenshot because I need to move to the S&I approach. So first I need to determine my saving function. I'm going to do it using the C function. So I know that saving is equal to GDP minus C. So my saving is equal to GDP minus, I open the parenthesis, 2 over 3 GDP plus 1,000. So S is equal to GDP minus 2 over 3 GDP minus 1000. Okay? So S is equal to 1 over 3 GDP minus 1000. Okay? Now, I'm looking for the same equilibrium. I need to find the same number using both approaches. So now I'm going to assume that investment is equal to 200. I know that at equilibrium, S is equal to I. So here, S is equal to I, which is equal to 1 over 3 GDP minus 1000. Yeah? So I'm going to take out the S. So I'm going to rewrite it, is equal to 1 over 3. Well, I is equal to S. Better, because I'm keeping this one. 1 over 3 GDP minus 1000. Okay, so here I'm going to have 200. I'm replacing I by its value, is equal to 1 over 3 GDP minus 1000. So I'm going to bring the constant over here. So 1200 is equal to 1 over 3 GDP at equilibrium now. Because we put the equality, it means we're at equilibrium. So I'm just going to multiply by 3. 3 times 1200 is equal to GDP at E. So GDP at E is equal to 3600. And you see that we found exactly the same number. Okay? Now, what I'm going to ask from you guys is to use both approaches. Now I'm going to delete all this. So, use exercise. Use the C plus I approach and the S and I approach to determine the GDP. Okay, first the GDP at E prime, where I is equal to 300. Oh, we did 400 first. Okay, is equal to 400. The GDP at E second, where I is equal to 100, and then the GDP at E third, where I is equal to 300. Could you do that for me? Okay? These are on the table. Now we're gonna put a GDP that you don't have in the table. The GDP at E fourth, where I is equal to 50. You don't have it in the table, so let's see how much it's going to be. The GDP at E fifth, where I is equal to 1,500. Let's try it. 1,500. Okay, so these you already did, you just need to check them. And these you didn't do, so try it. Okay, the correction is gonna be for next week. And please, if you have any question, call me. You need to master this so that I move to the multiplier, the real multiplier model. Okay, love you guys, stay safe. Oh, I'm making a video that you all need to no, you already watched it yesterday normally because I'm making my videos in advance. Okay. Love you guys. Stay safe. Bye.